A very warm welcome and thank you for watching this new video as part of a funding marathon that we'll be hosting in the next coming months. My name is Jelle Burggraaff and I work as head of the mobility and advice team and the Creative Europe desk NL here at DutchCulture. If you're new to us, DutchCulture is a Dutch platform for international cultural collaboration. We help the cultural and creative sectors, public authorities and diplomatic posts by working internationally. We do so by providing information, by giving advice, as well as giving funding opportunities to work across borders. Building on that support, we're launching a series of online videos that highlight different programs that foster European and international collaboration. Our aim is to make these programs easier to understand and more accessible. In each session, we'll explain how the program works, what projects fits, how to apply, and what we can learn from successful applicants. And today, we kick off with our own matching fund, which supports international heritage projects developed by Dutch and international partners. And that's why I'm happy to hand it over now to my colleague Maamke, who will explain us all about this program and how you can apply.
Hello, I'm Maamke Boonstra, Advisor International Heritage Cooperation here at DutchCulture. This is a funding opportunity made available through International Heritage Cooperation, which is a part of the international cultural policy of the Dutch government. What is the goal of the matching fund? The matching fund aims to contribute to the visibility of heritage connections between the Kingdom of the Netherlands and countries worldwide, such as Suriname, Japan, Ghana, Australia, and a lot more. To increase this visibility, it supports projects that create awareness and understanding of heritage connections while also resonating with topics that speak to audiences today. To ensure the projects are engaging and diverse, we ask applicants to place emphasis on multifocality, historical awareness, and reciprocal partnerships. Who can apply? Projects should stem from a reciprocal partnership. By this we mean a partnership with joint commitment between project leaders, where both project leaders provide input and take responsibility throughout the entirety of the project. One of the project leaders must be based within the Kingdom of the Netherlands and the other one internationally. Due to the funding being linked to the international cultural policy, there is a limit to the countries that can be collaborated with. These are the eligible countries. What projects are supported? We support projects from all cultural disciplines, such as museum exhibits, theater shows, and podcasts. For publications and films, special limitations apply, so please see the information document on our website. So, if your project fits the vision of the matching fund, these are the main 3 criteria you must meet to be eligible to apply. Number 1, the project has to be publicly accessible. In all cases, the project has to be accessible to a wide audience within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. This could be through a show, a workshop, or an exhibition. Whatever form it takes, the audience has to learn something or gain awareness about the heritage connection between the kingdom and your partner country. Number 2, sustainability. When assessing your application, we seriously consider the environmental impact of the project. For international projects, air travel is often necessary, but we consider how often you fly and how many people need to take the journey. Additionally, we ask those applying to consider the impact of the materials used during the project, and we ask them to make a plan to consider how they might mitigate the overall environmental impact of their project. Number 3, budget. Applicants can apply for a maximum of 25,000 euros of funding from the matching fund, with the support from the matching fund covering a maximum of 50% of the total budget. That's why it's called the matching fund, because it matches other resources used to fund the project. For example, if the estimated cost of the project is a total of 30,000 euros, an applicant can request a maximum of 15,000 euros through the matching fund. So, if you've heard all of this and you think your project fits the matching fund, how can you apply? If you'd like to apply for the matching fund, please send us an email with an introduction to your project at the email address listed. The introduction should answer at least the following questions. 1. What is the heritage topic and how does it connect the Kingdom of the Netherlands to your partner country? 2. Who are the partners, the project leaders, taking charge of this project? 3. How is the project accessible to an audience in the Kingdom of the Netherlands and beyond? 4. What is the current relevance of this project? How might it resonate with audiences? If your project seems to fit the criteria, we will schedule an advisory conversation, after which the application form will be made available to you. The next deadline for the matching fund is 22nd of March 2026. I look forward to reading all your project ideas. All right, now that we have the practical information covered, I'm very excited to introduce you to a special guest today to hopefully provide you with some inspiration if you're interested in applying for the matching fund, multiple time applicant and recipient of funding through the matching fund scheme, Lipika Bansal. Thank you very much for being here. I'm very excited to talk to you about the different projects that you've been able to initiate through or with support of the matching fund, but maybe first you can briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes, sure. So I'm Lipika Bansal. I founded Textiel Factorij in 2015 and I have a background actually in technology for social change. It sort of spontaneously happened that I was at the Tropen Museum and the conservator there gave a tour around the India department and he showed me some very old chintz pieces. And then I got really curious about this trade relationship between the two countries. And my parents actually had a wholesale company, interior and design, so I knew about the trade and they used to take me and my sister often to India and show their the work they did there with the suppliers. So yeah, I was really intrigued by the century-old trade relationship and textiles between the two countries. Yeah. So in 2015, I started exploring more about the influence of Indian textiles on the Dutch fashion industry in the 17th and 18th century. And then I stumbled upon DutchCulture and I wrote my first application and then they advised me that maybe we don't show this to the committee.
It's good that there's usually multiple steps and yes. I'm glad to hear that you got advice that it seems was helpful because the next application I believe was successful.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, so they advised me how to resubmit the proposal and how I could improve it. So then we started the whole project in 2016 and in the meantime it's become a platform.
The rest is history. Or heritage, I guess I should say. Yeah. I mean, thank you again for the introduction and for sharing a little bit about how you got in touch with DutchCulture the first time around and with the matching fund specifically. Of course, in 2017, you ended up receiving some support through the matching fund to set up Textiel Factorij, which ended up becoming the platform it is now. Can you tell us a little bit more about the partnerships that you engaged with to start this project with Indian partners?
Yes, first, when I got the funding, we first started the research in the Netherlands. So we explored the various archives of museums like Fries Museum, Zuiderzee Museum, and Museumfabriek. And we also got the chance to actually travel to India and see if these techniques were still alive and being practiced in India. So we partnered with various organizations over there and craftspeople. So in total we had 17 partners in India, mainly craftspeople and artists. And then we also engaged many different conservators and textile experts just to get to know more about the history and the craftsmanship itself.
Yeah.
And then through an open call, we engaged 26 artists and designers from the Netherlands who work with these 17 craftspeople across India who are still practicing these arts and crafts, which are related to chintz.
Yeah, really awesome. And then the collaborations between these artists and craftspeople was eventually made publicly accessible through an exhibit, if I remember correctly.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was actually quite an exception because usually the funding. The timing, let's say, of you have to finish your project within 2 years.
Yeah.
Usually, when you get the funding, and it never fits and matches with the time of the exhibition space, because they always plan everything like 5 years in advance. But we had sort of a lucky. Moment, so we could work with the Zuiderzee Museum, a Fries Museum, and Museum Fabriek, and we had the first exhibition in 2017 at Fries, then in 2018 at Zuiderzee, and then one at the end in Museum Fabriek. And at that time we also had a Lloyd Hotel as a partner. They had a cultural hub, so we developed also a documentary which is available online on YouTube, and we also invited craftspeople from India to the Netherlands to do master classes, because for us it's quite relatively easy to travel to these countries, but it's harder for them to travel to the Netherlands, and it's equally important for them to get the exposure and how actually their crafts are being accepted and used here in the Western context.
Yeah, it's always also for the matching fund, and from our perspective the intent that this is a real exchange, like a co-creation, and that it's something that's relevant and valuable to explore from both sides of the partnership. So it's really great that this opportunity was there for people to come here as well and see and learn more about the heritage that's connecting the two countries. And also great that you're mentioning the documentary available to check out online, so please go and take a look there after you finish watching this. Looking back now on the project, which I believe ultimately wrapped up in maybe 2023 officially with DutchCulture, what would you say were your main takeaways about international collaboration? What have you learned in doing the project?
Working between the two countries, it's always really important to make these sort of custom-made matches, so really understand both sides of the culture and the inquiries. So before actually making the match, I also check with the artists and designers here what their requirements and interests are, and that they do the same in India, and also to check that both sides have to be really open-minded to have this intercultural kind of collaboration, because sometimes we as a designer may go there and ask them, can you make and develop this, but they have their own different type of knowledge, and they have, like, these are being passed down from father to son, mother to daughter, so they have the technique is very much theirs, but also they have a very specific visual language, and they have meanings. So for me, it's equally important to have that part of the story. So it's not just making a contemporary design, but it's also engaging with the history and the heritage of the local communities.
Yeah, I can really, understand what you're saying, in the sense of it's not the intent to go there with ideas that have been created here and try and copy paste whatever it is that seems great on this side of the partnership, but it's really about listening and learning as well from the people that you're working with to together create something that's new and that neither of you could have created on your own.
Correct. Yeah, and it's interesting because if you look at it, it's not only about, of course, because both are makers here and there. So the exchange is very easily done in the sense you're both working with your hands, so you don't always need to have the verbal communication.
Sure, it's not an academic.
No. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's not only, of course, the technique you learn from each other, but also the culture and the local. Being together gives you a different kind of understanding about the locality. Also when we do, the own projects I develop are really based on the trade relationship and the textile history between the two countries, but artisan designers or organizations also approach me to collaborate with them. In that I also explain them that if you do a collaboration with, for example, an Indian partner, you have to consider that there are a lot of rituals, there are a lot of different way of working. Things go slower, so in the communication you have to take that into account. So if there's a death in the family, there's a 13-day of mourning, so everything is closed. You cannot just approach them. These are small things which, and equally also important. Important. And for the Indian side, it's important that here we work really with deadlines.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, in facilitating and undertaking these types of projects, you're also finding yourself in the role of a cultural mediator. Correct. Almost, where you're helping people learn and understand each other. That also makes me curious, like reflecting back on your own process through this, like over the past 10 years at this point. How would you say your own working style or way of approaching things has been influenced by doing this international work? Do you find yourself approaching things differently, or maybe using different techniques?
So of course my network's expanded. So I'm working with now different materials also. So first I started with chintz, and then in India it's mainly actually block printing and drawing with bamboo pen on textiles. But in the meantime I'm working with the wool dairy weavers, so like small carpets, and then with the brocade weaver. So if people are interested in a specific technique, I keep doing research in India and exploring what we can do. And currently I'm doing the woven cottons. And of course during the past years I also learn and keep changing my thoughts as well.
Naturally. I think working internationally, there's something about it that particularly challenges you to keep re-examining how you approach a question, how you approach working in a team. So I'm really glad to hear that that's been your experience as well. Before we move on to your current project, which I'm also very keen to hear more about, you mentioned earlier, and we were saying off camera, that Textiel Factorij, your initial project, has since grown to become a platform. Can you maybe speak a bit more to that, and how the relationships or connections that you built and laid initially have continued to grow into what it is today? How should I say? So actually when we started the project we had 17 partners in India, and that network is growing. And I, of course, still in touch with all those people. So the connections are still there, and to keep the connection alive, you have to keep talking with the people. So it's not just when you finish the project, it's done. So you have to always, during the festive days, I always send messages to all my people, all the people I work with. And sometimes, of course, the network expanding. And it's sometimes also hard in the sense that there's not always a project with the same people. So it's so it's especially if you're changing techniques or topics of interest. Correct. So but still you want to keep that connection. So the network expanding, but not that I'm not in that sense working all the time with the same people. But I'm still in touch. So if there's an inquiry, then I of course connect them to the people I've been engaging with in the past years. Right. And that's how it's grown to be a platform and more than just a project that's just happening once in collaboration with different craftspeople, artists, and museums. Correct, yes. I'm very excited to hear that something that was initial project of artistic exchange has grown to become a platform. I think continuing to build on connections like this and feeding into partnerships is exactly what from the perspective of Dutch culture, of course, we hope to see, because it's about this co-creation and continuing to find connections and continuing to also develop and place meaning on these heritage connections. Well, I think maybe that's then a good connection to the project that you're currently working on, because that's also something that stemmed from the initial, contact that you made, and now you're working on Cotton Trails, your current project.
Yes.
Is that a working title, or is this the current title?
It's the current title. So
Okay.
it's Cotton Trails from Madras to Marken. So in this project we are exploring the checked and striped woven cottons.
Yeah.
And it also has a very Dutch kind of feel to it.
Right.
In Dutch they call it boerenbondjes. But they were actually woven in India. So we started the project first exploring in India, looking at partners, and then my project partner Mira Curum had come in September.
Yeah.
So we started doing the research here in the Netherlands. We explored the archives of Zuiderzee Museum, Fries Museum, and we also visited a lady from Marken, and she was explaining how it was worn and the meaning of all these dresses. What the project is really about, these striped and woven cottons and how they were integrated into the Dutch regional costumes, but also about how they were worn and used in India. So it's from both perspectives,
Right.
and it's also a contemporary look at cotton production nowadays.
Right.
Because that's also very untransparent. So we are looking at this project from a seed to fabric perspective as well, and we're working with farmers and weavers.
Yeah.
And we're looking not only at we're looking, because cotton is in that sense very complicated resource.
Steeped in history, and also so much a part of our current world and the fabric of it.
Correct. A majority of the production is happening in India, but about 90% or even more is genetically modified cotton. We are going to work with these cottons as well as organic cotton and indigenous cotton.
Which I think is so exciting.
So there are quite a few initiatives with farmers who are trying to reintroduce these indigenous cottons, but the yarn is relatively short, so it has to be hand spun and hand woven. So they cannot be
very labor intensive process.
Correct. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah. So I'll be going next week to India to explore and meet the farmers and the weavers. And then the idea is to actually make an installation with all these different checked and striped patterns from India and the Netherlands, and working with the different weavers and different types of cotton.
Amazing. That sounds so exciting, and I think it's really brilliant how you found the topic, or managed to delve into the topic, I should probably say, in such a way that really shows the historical connection, like the heritage connection between the countries, but also the historical value of these patterns, of this fabric in each country, while also connecting it to the topics of sustainability and production of the crops that is so relevant from a more modern perspective, because of course these are the types of questions that as a society we're grappling with on a bigger level. So I think it's really valuable. I'm so excited that through the matching fund we were able to support such a project.
Yeah, I'm also really happy that you could fund us. Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, I guess this makes me curious. You're describing how it will be on display, what we might be able to see. When might we be able to see this?
Yeah, I hope at the end of 26 somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, and then it'll be on display in the museums that you mentioned in the Netherlands and also in India?
Yeah, so we'll first showcase it in India, and then it will come to the Netherlands.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to being able to see the efforts and the outcomes of your work. I guess looking back from where you currently stand in the middle of a new project and building on a project that started in 2015, a decade ago, how do you feel DutchCulture through the Matching Fund or through advice has supported you on this journey. Can you maybe speak a little to that?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I think every time when I engage with DutchCulture, the contact with the person who is actually running the matching fund has been really very helpful. It's sort of like a very personal kind of contact, I've realized, and you feel very open and free to actually ask for advice, and that makes me always comfortable to keep approaching DutchCulture in that sense.
To hear it. That's what we're here for.
That's more of a personal note, but otherwise about the fund itself, it's also very accessible because you have to fill in the form, and it makes it sometimes you have to write a whole project proposal, but here you have these questions. You can before we actually submit the proposal, you can have a call and talk with the person who is in charge, and they give you really good advice. So that's always been really, for me it's been very approachable fund, and I'm very happy that it exists.
Looking forward and thinking about this webinar in the broader context, do you have any tips or recommendations for people who maybe want to apply after having seen this, or who have a project in their heads that they would want to make reality based on your experiences with the matching fund?
I would, of course, definitely recommend to get in touch with the person who is running the program and ask for a conversation so they can advise you about the whole process, but also while writing the application, so it's a questionnaire and you have to be really concise in answering these questions. They have to be short and direct. So it's important to have like very concrete kind of ideas and a proper plan of approach, and maybe also clear results. And the storyline has to be interesting, of course, because then you can catch the attention of the reader and the committee.
I think this, what you're pointing out, kind of resonates with the matching fund orienting itself of course the foundation is this heritage connection, but the intent is also really to connect with topics that people are thinking about, are talking about in our current societies, as well as, of course, bringing new ideas into the connections between countries, but also from a historical and cultural perspective to the landscape, the cultural landscape that we're in. So in that sense, what you're saying about it kind of being an advantage if something's new, if it's interesting, if it's resonating, that's something that I recognize as well.
Yes. So actually, linking the heritage with also the current situation is, I think, really important to keep in mind, that how does this historical narrative relate to the current situation, which I think should be addressed in the application, if I'm correct.
Yes, definitely. I'm wondering if there's anything further that you would like to say about your experiences with DutchCulture, international collaboration, or maybe looking towards the future, something we should know about?
Of course, it's been really a happy engagement with DutchCulture over the past 10 years now. Other than that, I hope you still keep doing this kind of wonderful funding.
We intend to.
Yes, and for me it's especially an interesting fund because I'm really working on heritage, and India is a country which doesn't get much funding from other organizations. So for me it's a very important fund.
I think all that rests for me is to thank you very much, and to say that I'm looking forward to seeing how Cotton Trails is going to come into fruition, and I'm very excited to see it on display.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me for this conversation.
Yes, of course.
I would like to thank my colleague Maamke Boonstra for the explanation that she gave about the Matching Fund program, to Lipika Bansal from the Textiel Factorij for the explanation and the insights that she shared about her application, and to all of you for tuning in. In the meantime, if you would like to know more about working internationally, visit our website, follow us on our social media, or subscribe to one of our newsletters. See you soon.